Thank you for joining me for this Ultimate Yasuo guide, where we will be learning about everyone's favorite samurai, Yasuo. In this episode, we'll be starting with the introduction to the champion. Yasuo is a hyper-mobile, late-game scaling melee carry. This class is also called Slayer by Riot. Yasuo has also been called a melee ADC, due to the fact that his entire kit synergizes extremely well with ADC items. Alright, so before you can start playing Yasuo, let's start with the basics of his kit. Yasuo's passive is Way of the Wanderer. It's made up of two different abilities, Intent and Resolve. Intent makes Yasuo's critical strike chance doubled, meaning that he only needs 50% critical strike chance to get 100%, ensuring that all his auto attacks and Qs will critically strike 100% of the time. However, there is a caveat to this, something to limit his damage, and that is the second part of Intent, which makes it so Yasuo's critical strikes have 10% reduced damage, and on his Q, there's a 25% damage reduction. This means that Yasuo's critical strikes late game won't hit as hard. Now you might be asking, but elsewhere, you just said he was a late game damage carry. He is. Trust me. The rest of his kit comes together extremely well to compensate for this deficiency. The second part of his passive is Resolve. Yasuo generates flow while he moves around the map by any means. This includes flash and teleport. At maximum flow, he gets a shield that will block damage the next time he is attacked. Now this includes champions or monsters in the jungle. This shield starts at 100 and scales towards 510 at max rank and lasts for 1 second after taking damage. Now that we've covered his passive, let's get on to his abilities themselves. The first ability he has here is Q. This is a short-range skill shot, which, as I mentioned before, can critically strike. It also applies on-hit effects to the first target it hits. Yasuo thrusts his sword forward, dealing physical damage to all enemies in a line. The ability is not reduced by cooldown reduction, but instead is reduced by attack speed. You'll need roughly 100% attack speed to get it to max level. That is, of course, including a base attack speed which scales on Yasuo. He gets 42.5% at level 18, but you'll want to make sure that your Q maxes at about levels 9 through 13. Depending on what you're building, that can vary, of course. Once you've successfully landed 2 Qs, the third Q will be empowered, with significantly increased range and a knockup attached. This knockup can be used to help kite, or it can be used to set up for your ultimate. Yasuo's W is Wind Wall, that travels forward from Yasuo in a wall. The ability will last for 3.75 seconds, so about 4 seconds, and it will block all abilities coded as projectiles with the exception of turrets. Now I will later in this series go in more depth on Yasuo's Wind Wall, bringing you a complete list of the abilities that it does and does not block, but at max rank, without cooldown reduction, it'll be on an 18-second cooldown. Yasuo's E is Sweeping Blade. Yasuo dashes in the direction of a targeted enemy. This dash scales with movement speed, so the more movement speed you have, the faster your dash animation will be. His dash can stack 2 times, meaning that the first dash you make won't deal as much damage as the second, and once you get to that second dash, you'll be at full stacks. Yasuo's E is likely his core ability. It's what brings his entire kit together, allowing you to navigate safely around minion waves and dash towards enemies to keep within attack range. The ability has virtually no cooldown, which is to say at max rank it's on a 0.1 second cooldown. Yasuo's ultimate, his R, is Last Breath. Yasuo activates to blink to the nearest airborne enemy champion to the mouse, instantly gaining maximum flow, which is his passive shield. He then suspends all nearby airborne enemies and performs his ultimate, which deals a lot of damage. It also makes it so for the next 15 seconds after Yasuo activates his ultimate, all of Yasuo's critical strikes gain 50% armor penetration. Something to keep in mind is that casting this ability drops all stacks of Gathering Storm, which is Yasuo's empowered Q. Thank you for watching. Next week we're going to be going through the pros and cons of Yasuo, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime though, feel free to follow me and ask any questions you need on minds.com, youtube.com, or twitter.com. You have an excellent day out on the Rift.